Alrighty, welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Association talk show. I'm your host, LaToyaTillett, here with my special guest, Lionel Thomas, who is a real estate appraiser and also has a real estate license. And so he mentioned something interesting too during the break, but we'll get into that in just a second. I wanted him to let you know what an appraisal actually is and what it entails.
Like an appraisal report?
Yes.
Okay. An appraisal report is a document that should be done obviously by a licensed appraiser or a certified appraiser that is going to go over the details of your home from legal description, who's the owner, what's the what's the track number, what's the tax ID. It's going to start describing the site and the improvements of the site. It's going to describe the zoning. It's going to then get to what's called the improvements. So in the improvement section, it's going to describe, is this a wood frame home? Is it a comp shingle roof? Does it have wood frame windows or vinyl windows?
Okay.
And after you've described the details of the subject property, then on the following page, and I'm referring to the URAR, which is called the Uniform Residential Appraisal Report, there'll be comparable sales. So on that page, there's going to be, apple for apple comparable sales.
Excuse me.
It's all good. That feature like a similar bedroom and bathroom count. Like if the subject property is 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, built in 1950, then your comparables should be 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, built in 1950.
Okay.
Because they're going to be, the most similar homes, and they should be in a similar location.
Okay. Because I know there's been times where I'm in the middle of a deal and I'm like, this appraiser killed my deal. Why'd the appraisal come in so low?
Yes.
So can you kind of...
You got to call me.
Got to call you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little insight into maybe why that happens? Because it's like if I do a CMA and I come up with $500,000.
Yes.
But then you do an appraisal and it comes to like $425.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yes.
Somebody
it's an
messed
issue.
up. Yeah. Well,
what's wrong?
I would say, how do I say this? And this is no disrespect to anyone. I have a real estate license too.
Right.
Sometimes the process that's used to create a CMA is not unbiased would be one thing. And the comparables that are included in there, I guess you'd have to question, are they true comparables?
Right.
And then you have to look at this appraisal report and do the same thing. Like, are these true comparables? Because somewhere someone included some information that may or may not be comparable, and that's why there's a difference.
Okay.
Another thing is that the CMA doesn't make adjustments.
True.
So the CMA is just calculations, like medians and averages and means, where the appraiser's looking at potentially those same comps and then making adjustments for the differences. And when that happens, then the price starts swaying. Okay. But in the future, if you ever have any appraisal problems anywhere in the world, you call me and I'll help you walk yourself through it.
Awesome.
Or we'll walk through it together.
Okay.
Is a better way to say
awesome. Well, great. That's good to have. I gotta make sure I get your number. Y'all heard him. Tell me.
Yeah, anyone.
I can call him. Anybody can call him. So I'll make sure you guys get his information before we leave here today. So I actually started doing BPOs about, BPOs are broker price opinions. I started doing those like maybe about 5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe or so like that. And I did learn through that process how to do adjustments. Yep. So now when I'm doing my CMAs, they're a little closer to what the appraisal is going to come out to, because I actually know how to make the adjustments for, the bedroom, bathroom count, condition, those different things. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, wow. But of course, it's not nearly as detailed as what you guys do.
Yeah. Well, for an appraiser and for, it's hard. It's an odd conversation because there's like all these guidelines, and the BPO, there's no like lending guidelines attached to it.
Right.
There's no like limits on adjustments. There's no like when an appraiser is creating a report, he should have all these rules and guidelines in his head of what not to, like what's an excessive adjustment. What should you not adjust for anyways? Like what is like, well, these are both similar, so no adjustment is necessary.
Right.
And because of those different guidelines, sometimes it somewhat manipulates the results. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Where when you're doing a BPO, you're not giving it to a bank. The bank's not going to call you. The state's not going to call you and like try to hold you accountable for it.
Well, yeah. Well, they are for the banks, and I get them through like, asset management companies, stuff like that. Yeah. So I know there has been a couple companies that do give me a guideline. They say don't do more than 20% up or down.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. So I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, but that's pretty interesting because like, again, like I said, nothing as detailed as what you do.
Yeah.
But, I find that it has helped me now with pricing, my listings a little bit better.
Well, I'm sure you don't run into those appraisal problems very often because you're obviously experienced and you know what you're doing. But
not very often unless it's an FHA appraisal.
Well, so FHA has minimum property standards, and for older homes for sure, and homes on iron gates, and if we're talking about homes in Linwood and stuff,
right,
you're gonna have more safety issues related to the appraisal than maybe valuation issues.
Really, what kind of safety issues?
If it's an old house, well, for instance, iron bars, because in these areas, there's a lot of homes with iron bars. So
I had those growing up.
Yeah. I didn't, but when I went to my family's house, they did. And there was a common. Every house has iron bars and iron gate. It's just the architecture of the area, so to speak.
And the screen door, the iron screen door.
And the iron screen door. But we had a screen door at my house in Ontario, so my grandmother took that with us. But so a lot of times people will have the iron bars in the windows, but they won't have the quick releases, so in case of a fire, you can get out of the window. So instantly, the appraiser has to report that because it's a safety hazard. Really? Another thing is some homes don't comply with the basic smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector requirements for the state of California. And, having one smoke detector in each room and having at least one carbon monoxide per level, I think would be the minimum for the occupant to be notified if these gases were a problem.
Yes.
And then obviously putting safety straps on the hot water heater are the most common things, but for homes built before 1978, if they have peeling paint, that's a sign that there's lead-based paint in the home, so the appraiser has to report that, and that becomes a problem too.
Okay. So now I can see how these adjustments and things are starting to come into play.
Yeah.
And why it may, produce a not so favorable result for the seller.
Yes.
Because it's normally a seller, we can always give them a price range of what they should use. I never want to say, oh, this is what you should sell it for.
Yeah.
I say, hey, this is based on my opinion. This is the range I think you could fit in. And I usually let the seller determine the actual price they want to go after. And sometimes they go far above my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. They want the most possible, which is understood.
Okay. And I'm like, all right, well, if the appraisal comes in low,
it's
it's a possibility. So, always disclose. That is our job.
It's, how do I say, one thing that I do for families, I'll do a private appraisal for them before they list the properties.
Oh, cool.
And some realtors call me for that service too.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like
that's good to know.
Like helping them prepare. For instance, if we know that there's I can on my appraisals I can include stats of the most common lending type for that particular asset.
Really?
So on my appraisal, I say, there was 40 FHA finance loans, there was 20 conventional finance loans, and there was 5 cash loans.
That's really detailed.
Yeah. So then as a reader, that FHA buyers are very prevalent in this market.
Right.
So you want to prepare for an FHA you could prepare for an FHA finance buyer, and it kind of gives a little more preparation before that next appraiser comes in the door.
Okay. That's good to know. That's good news. And so, you got your real estate license after you've been an appraiser almost your whole life.
Yeah. I'm still an appraiser full.
You're still an appraiser fully. How do you like the realtor side of it?
Well, to be positive.
Hey, I like to keep it real on my show.
If you want to keep it real, I have a hard time because as an appraiser, you do work and you generally earn income for that time that you do work.
Right.
Sometimes as a realtor, you are working with a client for a very long time, helping them, advising them, giving them your all.
Yep.
And I feel almost irresponsible sometimes because if I'm making an appraisal client wait while I'm over here working on something that may not even lead to me providing for my family, if it feels wrong. So I guess that kind of paints a picture of sometimes it's hard for me to work as a realtor because when I'm trying to qualify my client and they seem like they're kind of on the fence, I'm kind of like, well, let's just, if you don't want to do it, I'm not trying to push you into it.
Right.
But if you do want to do it, I'll help you right now. That's kind of like my mindset.
Okay.
So I like working as a realtor. I've been able to provide for my family, go on vacations, put meals on the table and all that good stuff. So
awesome.
It's a blessing and an amazing opportunity.
Okay.
But sometimes it's hard for me to manage my time trying to do both.
Right. I can see that.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I
that's
can totally
real.
see
That's
that.
the real as it comes.
That's the real story. Because like I tell people all the time, I'm like, there's some times where, it looks like a glamorous lifestyle that realtors have sometimes.
It's work.
It is work. It is hard work. No matter what you see out there, there is a lot of work that goes into being a realtor. You become counselors.
It's a social work.
Yes.
But you're not a social worker.
You're not a social worker. And you're not a therapist.
Yeah.
But you become a therapist.
Yeah.
Sometimes you become a friend. Sometimes you become an enemy.
Yeah.
It just really depends on who you're dealing with
Yep.
and what the situation is. So you really got to know and have a love for helping people.
Yes.
When you're working as a realtor sometimes. And, there's sometimes, like you say, you work with people for a really long time and then nothing comes of it. And now you're trying to get that next deal. It just all depends. But, like I tell people all the time, I'm like, there's been times where, I just had a deal that just closed in August
whoop, whoop.
that I've been waiting for since July of last year. It was a commercial deal. So I specialize in commercial real estate.
Right.
So
I need to learn from you then.
Yeah,
I'm in the right place.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So, with the commercial deals, sometimes they can take longer. They can be 6 months or a year, as in this case, or actually it was like a year. And it actually turned out to be about 13 months.
Wow.
That
In
we were
escrow?
in escrow. Yeah.
Wow.
Before we closed, we opened escrow July 25th, I believe it was, last year, and we closed August 22nd.
But that's cool. Whatever it takes. It's work, right?
Whatever it takes. It took a whole lot. And, luckily we didn't have any appraisal issues.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. So do you do any commercial appraisals?
Yeah. Through our AMC, we have commercial appraisers too. I want to say we have like 56 commercial appraisers signed up with us.
Nice.
So we sometimes a client or we just got out of the late tax season. They're not out of it. We're kind of in it.
Right.
But right now with the late taxes, a lot of trusts and families are requesting appraisals, and I'll do the residential ones and then send the commercial ones to a commercial appraiser.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So let's see. So you're in real estate now for a little bit. You're doing the appraisals pretty much full time, right?
Yeah. I try to give the focus there.
So typically, how long does it take to do an appraisal?
If I went out today, it usually takes me 2 business days to complete the report.
Okay.
Obviously, if there's some surprises, like I did one yesterday in Riverside, and from what I can tell, he was renting the rooms out, so the doors were all locked, and I wasn't able to do a complete inspection. So I have to. It's not going to be 2 days. I have to go back and finish the job, but I generally get them done in 2 business days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I go Wednesday, I'll have it done by Wednesday. If I go Monday, I'll have it done by Wednesday night.
Okay. Okay. That's pretty cool. Because I'm like, sometimes I look at the report and I go through it. I'm like, gosh, this looks like it took forever to put it together. There's
a lot in there. But we have tools like Data Master is one of my favorite tools, which auto imports a lot of information for you.
That's good.
Obviously, you have to go through all the pictures and label the pictures and make sure that the details of the home are in the report.
Right.
But when it's like riding a bike.
Okay.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, once you learn, you always know, right?
Yes.
So typically, what's the biggest difference? Because I've always tried to figure this out, but the way things have changed now is since we're not allowed to really directly speak to the appraisers.
You are.
Really?
You're a realtor.
Oh, I can?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Talk
Well, I
to
know
me
they're
more.
like, don't try to influence them. I'm like, I'm not trying to influence anybody on anything. I just want to know, what's the biggest difference between an FHA appraisal and a just regular appraisal?
Well, the FHA appraisal includes, they have their own FHA minimum property standards. Similar to VA, it's kind of like a look-alike program.
Okay.
So there's a increased safety rules, and the biggest one I can think of from the top of my head is the peeling paint, where the older homes, they don't want them to have signs of lead-based paint.
Okay.
For the inspection itself on an FHA or VA, you have to take a picture inside the attic space, which is above the scuttle door, and you have to take a picture in the crawl space, which is below the house if there is a crawl space.
Okay.
And then you have to report on the insulation and report on the plumbing, which is good anyways, because maybe they replace all their plumbing and that's where their value is,
Right. Okay.
But that is, if I had to identify one big difference, that's it, because it's really the same comp choosing process, the same adjusting process. It's just a matter of the inspection being different.
Okay, just a couple extra steps or extra safety precautions that you're looking for. Because I know I've seen some that have called out, certain things, or we've had to end up doing like a termite inspection after the appraisal inspection. So
yeah, because those loans require clear termite, right?
Right, right, of course. Okay, so now I got a pretty much a good idea of what the differences are. See, this is probably the most conversation I ever had with an appraiser.
I'm glad. So on the note of like not being able to talk to an appraiser, the appraiser has a responsibility of taking any information that's out there, because you may have a diamond of special information. Like I just did one in Orange.
Okay.
And this gentleman owns 4 properties with 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom ADUs in the back of each of them.
Wow.
And the city made an ordinance where he can't build them anymore. Oh. So I did an appraisal for him. Then he emailed me back and said, hey, the city has made an ordinance where these can't be built anymore, and these are like the only ones that are going to be like in existence. And he wanted me to kind of like talk about, like discuss that.
Oh, okay.
But I said that because that information that he shared with me after my appraisal was done was kind of important beforehand.
Yes.
And really the comps are the comps, but I would have liked to know that.
Right.
And maybe I don't know if it'd be worth more, but it would be something that I would like to know, so that when I'm picking my comps, it's like on my mind, right?
Okay. Right.
So in essence, to bring it back to you or to any realtor or anyone who's dealing with an appraiser, you need to share the information that you have, because he may not know it. He may not understand. He or she may not understand it. So you having a dialogue with them is good. Okay. And they may have a strange attitude or whatever, but it's fine, because what they're doing is they're trying to hear the information and decide like what's relevant and what's not, and it's a challenge. All
right, well that's really good to know, because I know when they moved everything to that third party system, they were all like, oh, don't be trying to talk to the appraiser, don't say this, don't say that, and I'm like, okay, well,
I think you're talking about the HVCC, the Home Valuation Code of Conduct.
Right. Okay, so we touched on that, and he mentioned something about ADUs, so we'll come back after this commercial break, and we'll chat a little bit more about what needs to go into an appraisal for a property that has an ADU. See you in a few.